Mother-in-laws of Reddit, in the interest of fairness, what are your crazy daughter-in-law stories? I was a crappy dill. We married young and she would try to help a little too much. I would feel suffocated with her and felt like she was judging everything I did. 4-5 years later I realized she was just trying what she thought was best for us and we now have the best relationship. Whoa, that's pretty big of you to admit. Good for you. I'm glad to hear it ending up for the best. When I first met her, she was a tweaker. She knew I knew and she hated me. Now she stays home and knits and crafts and I have not seen my grandson in 3 years. She still hates me. TBF. Amphetamines are very helpful for repetitive crafting, like knitting. My sister experienced it when she lived with my Sil and brother. Sil had a very particular way of doing things. So she told my sister to not do anything because Sil had an order. Dishes? Nope. Leave it in the sink. Cleaning? Nope. You're not doing it my way. So as my Sil said, my sister didn't touch any cleaning. Then Sil got upset my sister didn't clean. Made a PowerPoint presentation on everything my sister did wrong. These presentations would last a minimum of 20 minutes and up to an hour or so. My sister was confused because when she did help, she was told she was doing it wrong and Sil told her to stop. Now that she stopped, Sil is mad my sister isn't helping. My sister isn't dirty by any means. She knows how to clean up. It just wasn't being done the way Sil wanted it to be done. My sister had to sit through multiple presentations when she lived with them. LOL, I was sympathizing because I too am particular about certain things. But then you said PowerPoint presentations and that's a big nope for me. Have to admit, I have the sweetest dill. When they bought their new house, it has 5 bedrooms, for 2 people. I said good, now you have a room just for me to visit for an extended time. She was happy and asked when I thought I would get there. My son had to explain to her that I was kidding and would not be making an extended visit to their house. I'd be the same way. I love my mother-in-law. She's really sweet and funny. It makes me happy to see other-in-law stories like this. Dill here. My husband and his mom have had a strained relationship due to politics the last few years, but a little over a year ago I got a DUI. It was a supreme frick up on my part, and I take full responsibility. I made stupid choices, hence the throwaway. Anyway, my husband gets the call that I'm getting arrested, and he chose in the moment to call his mom to help, versus my mom. My mom is super chill and a good woman in a crisis and was arguably the more pragmatic choice. But I think he just needed his mom, understandably. So he calls his mom to come watch our kid while he figures out bail and picking me up and all that. I'll never forget coming home at like 4 AM feeling so embarrassed and overwhelmed and she was there, arms wide open to accept and comfort me. This diminutive church-going southern mama grabbed me and held my atheist frick up butt for what seemed like an eternity, but in a good way. Like all her natural mom energy was passing through me. We may not agree on most things, but I'll never forget how loved she made me feel at my lowest, without judgment or pretense. I hear horror stories about in-laws and I think how lucky I am. I was waiting for a bad turn in the story. Nope. Pleasantly surprised. Nice. Happened to a friend. Her brother married this girl who was his college friend. Very happy, have a baby girl. Suddenly her father passed away so her mother went to stay with son and Dill. At first she was okay, but after like a month, Dill started to lock the fridge. In India fridges come with internal locks, and pantry doors. She started cutting down Mill's food. When my FRND came to know at this, we went to her brother's place, packed her mom's stuff and brought her back to my friend's house. Scary lady that Dill. Brother didn't say crap to his wife. Yeah, best case scenario was getting her out of there. That's real sad. My Mill has a very rocky relationship with one of her daughters-in-law. There are a few of us. This one time this particular Dill, with a rocky relationship, had started being nice to our Mill by going to lunch with her and giving her advice on how to change annoying aspects of her personality. This lasted for a couple of months. Finally the Dill had an absolute rage session and started screaming at the Mill saying how she could no longer be part of this ruse and that all her attempts at being friendly and trying to changing the Mill's personality was pointless because the Mill was too stupid. To this day they don't get along and family gatherings are always super uncomfortable. This of course is from my POV, so I can't say for certain what was actually going on in either of their heads, but there you have it. To this day they don't get along. Can't see why not. Sounds like a nightmare person. The Dill. So not a Mill, but one of my mum's friends. Her son was on track to become an engineer and then he met this girl. She was a teacher and wanted to be a full-time mummy, which there was nothing wrong with. He ended up dropping out of his degree as she told him. She got pregnant. He works at a dead-end job and she demanded she cut him off from all his family. She's very anti-vax/5G and is totally consumed with every conspiracy theory going. He no longer talks to his mum or any of the family. I grew up with him and he was always such a level-headed, confident guy, and now his Facebook feed is full of anti-vax nonsense. Baby pictures or messages between him and his now wife about how they're going to have the best family forever. The mother of the guy respects his wishes, but whenever my mum mentions her, she always says that she feels like she lost her son. Bit heartbreaking tbh. I'd love to hear my ex Mill's answer to this one because I can only imagine what my ex told her after we got divorced. Whatever it was, she blocked me on FB instead of just unfriending me. Melody in F major. I love my Dill. I've had 2 horrible mothers-in-law. Shocked my young self as I'd never seen such a thing. I go out of my way to encourage a good relationship. If my son loves her, then there it is. This reminds me of my own mom. Kudos to you. Throwaway. We lived on the other side of the country from them, so we didn't have many visits. 1 or 2 a year. When we visited, all was well. The house was clean. The kids were cared for, etc. She was fun to be around. However, once we left, life went back to normal for my son and grandkids. She would say she was going to the store and would not come home for 2 to 4 days. She did drugs. She did not clean anything. My son traveled for business and when he was gone she had many different men in the house. He would come home to a trashed house, trashed car, trashed everything. She would put the kids to bed, then leave to party. She kept the 2 oldest kids home from school when he traveled. She was too busy sleeping from partying all night to take them to school. As he was making plans to leave her and take the kids, she killed the youngest child and is now in jail awaiting trial. All of this came out after she died. I wish they had never met. Pure freaking evil. I'm so sorry for you and your son's loss. My Dill decided, after years of manipulating my son, to walk out on him and their 2 kids. A few hours later she changes her mind and bombards him with all kinds of crap for a week. And then she gains access to the house when he's out and changes the locks, causing him and their 2 young kids to be homeless. She sucks. To be fair, you also said your son is a T, so I'm not sure what to believe. Neighbor. Not myself as I'm a guy. My neighbor is jovial. New grandbaby. Pictures. More pictures. Constantly talking about how hard her Dill is trying to be a good mom. Is stressed. First baby for her. Out. So she's thinking about flying to help take some of the load off. Dill was initially receptive. Exhausted. Happy to have help and possibly even some alone time to decompress. So about 2 months after baby was born, after securing time off work, she flies out to help. Flies back 2 weeks later. Very unhappy. Wife and I don't broach anything, but one day she lets loose. Grandma was taking baby out and about, fresh air and give mom some me time. She was planning on staying away for a few hours, but found out she forgot the baby wipes in the bathroom at home after baby made a mess. She arrives back and walks inside to hear her Dill screaming, "Oh god yes, FCKME," like when you put baby name in ME. Oh god yes. Yes. FCK that PUSY Mike. FCKIT harder. For the record, her son's name isn't Mike. After calling her son at work there was a pause as he listened and wrangled 2 female friends. Much gnashing of teeth ensued when he got home 2 hours early, with female friends in tow recording, and her boyfriend trying to get down the street half dressed. Mill pulls up to see her Dill wrapped in a blanket screaming at him that it wasn't what it looked like. Blah blah blah. Mill says son should get a paternity test, baby possibly not is blah blah. Now a not so happy Mill. Obviously there was a divorce, but I don't know how that went and I'm not about to ask. For me, It's kind of a reverse heartbreak because I love my Dill and we got on very well. She's from a semi-abusive background and at first had issues with drugs but dealt with that and became an excellent mother. Now they are separated. At her instigation, son is devastated, and although I don't believe in taking sides, it's hard to go past her decision to break up the family because that she has to find herself. I'm just not coping as we had been a very close extended family, not a matter of abuse, addiction, cheating, or even close. My sibling had the worst mother-in-law. This woman would not talk to our mother because she was divorced. Technically our mother had biblical grounds for doing this, but when mom entered the room the mill would leave. After a while it just got ridiculous and mom would just flit from room to frick with her at the kid birthday parties. No one felt strongly enough to put their foot down and stop the game. Go your mom. I feel like a crazy daughter-in-law because when my first baby was born I told my husband to tell my in-laws they couldn't be at our house the day we got home from the hospital. I really wanted privacy. Looking back, I feel really guilty and didn't need to make it a big deal. They did come visit a few weeks later. Not a mother-in-law, but my mom freaking hated my ex-wife. Never did anything crazy but just couldn't bring herself to engage or connect with her. Turns out, my ex was literally a garbage human. Good call, mom. I've found that you can always tell when a girl isn't up to any good by the way they talk about and act towards your mom. This only applies to people who have good mothers and are close with them. If she doesn't like your mom and avoids being around her, then she's probably not the best person and knows that mom sees right through the BS. How about a crazy daughter, son-in-law story? So I have one daughter who at 20 came out to me as gay, as a polygamist, a pregnant one. Pregnant by a 40-year-old dude with a wife and 3 grown kids. I was 44 at the time. Long story short, the original wife got sick of all the crazy and left. Now my daughter and the son-in-law are monogamous with 5 kids and I have a son-in-law who is 4 years younger than me. My sil. Holy shit, my mom not flipping her crap on her has always amazed me. My sister-in-law does everything in her power to be miserable about my mom. My mom sells her and my brother a truck instead of giving it. Horrible person. My mom gave her boyfriend tamales on real plate one Christmas instead of paper like the rest of us. B. My brother's family has colds. My mom doesn't drop everything to get them popsicles. Suspect. She has the audacity to wait a little bit to make them a care package. Monster. She gets mad, texts my mom and calls my mom a piece of crap. My brother tried to keep the peace but it just rarely happened. I will never understand why she dislikes my mom so much. My mom isn't perfect but my sil is nuts. My brother passed away last April and my sil made it a little weird and hurt my mom, but that's whole different post. My brother also passed away last April. I'm sorry for your loss. My Mill is my second mom and an absolutely amazing person. My husband and I had our first child the day after my 19th birthday and on her 40th birthday. So, the 3 of us share birthdays back to back. She helped us raise our son and honestly helped us become the adults we needed to be in order to be good parents. We just had celebrated our daughter's first birthday. Our son is almost 8 now. She was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer about 1.5 years ago. She is one of the strongest women I have ever met. She is the most wonderful, accepting, non-judgmental, kind, helpful Mill I could ever ask for. My son and her have an incredible bond. She raised an amazing son who is my soulmate. Our daughter adores her, and she means so much to me. She is one of my best friends. I keep holding on to hope that we're going to wake up one morning to a phone call from the doctor saying they have the answer and know what to do. I can't even begin to imagine our lives without her. She is the glue that holds so much together and I am so thankful to have her in my life. I hope you tell her exactly what you just told us. I always feel really guilty because when me and my husband first got together my Mill would try and call me. I had never met her in person as she lived on the other side of the country from us. And I'm a huge introvert so I very rarely would answer the phone and talk to her. Well, about 1.5 years later there was an incident with my SD coming to live with us full time and my Mill stayed on the phone with me for hours being super supportive. Less than a month later she passed away unexpectedly. I never did get the chance to meet her in person. I miss her so much. I can still see her in my head. as I remember her from FaceTime, and I can hear her voice. I hate that I didn't answer the phone every single time she called me. That's a regret I will always have to live with. A little different, but I'm divorced. My ex Mill is literally the best. She is the sweetest, kindest human being, and I love her to bits. We talk regularly, FaceTime, visit, travel. She calls me her daughter to this day and I call her mom. I feel so lucky to have someone like her. She is the biggest supporter of my decisions and says I always have a place at home. I fully intend to have her as mother of the bride if I ever decide to get married again, lol. Not all Mills are bad. Not the mother-in-law, but my brother's ex-wife. She instigated a fight with him over the phone, recorded him once she got him mad, and reported him to the police. She then told them exactly where to find him, as he was employed as a high school teacher at the time. She stopped making payments on the house after she got him out and eventually it was repossessed. She started cavorting around with our younger brother and dated him for like 2 years after they divorced. We think that they had been running around behind his back for at least 3 years beforehand. And personally I'm pretty sure she groomed him from as young as 16. Herc. Just a completely disgusting sociopathic monster. I've told my brother if he needs her tires slashed so she misses a court date, I'm in. I'm apparently the crazy dill. One of our kids asked to change pronouns and live as a girl, which we fully supported. It wasn't a surprise to us. We've seen it coming for a long time and had gone so far as to let some family members know that it seemed like our child was on that path. Well, my Phil told my husband that he thought I was forcing our child to do this because of how much I hate men. At which point we decided that our children would no longer be going to their house unsupervised because we weren't going to subject them to that attitude. And then COVID hit, which meant they couldn't really see the kids at all anyway. Mill threw a fit about how unfair all of this was to her. They've both decided I hate them. I have very little sympathy for the corner they've backed themselves into. When they apologize and commit to supporting their granddaughter, then we can talk about reforming a relationship. I am the alleged crazy daughter-in-law, and if my Mill posts here, she's the crazy one, not me. Preemptive strike. Bam. I've been watching to see if mine has been on here. I'm the terrible dill because I don't laugh at her racist jokes and asked her to stop shaming my 8-year-old niece for wearing shorts. I'm the dill. I struggle with maternal relationships due to trauma from my mother at a young age until adulthood. I'm flaky with communication and sometimes I won't talk to her for a while because I just forget. High ADHD and autism, but I also helped her realize she, her son and a few of her grandchildren are probably on the spectrum too, and they are all at various stages of diagnosis and awareness. It's been healing for them, but I'm still the awkward dill who has no clue how to connect with people. She accepts me and she's more of a mum than I've ever had, and I'm so thankful, but I don't know how to tell her. Show her this post. You have effectively boasted about her to the entire world. Your comment is a wonderful thing to do out of the love for her that is in your heart. I'll add a Sil story here. When the kids were little, my brother and Sil held big birthday parties with both sides of the family. They ordered pizza, and only her family were allowed to eat it. Thankfully they haven't had a big birthday party in a few years. How TF does she even explain that one to the other people at the party? My ex called my mom a bee for not CCing her when she was emailing me. This happened within days of my father dying and I was making all of the preparations and handing ins and bills and stuff. She was awful then. I am crazy over my daughter-in-law. She is so kind, insightful, gosh, I learn so much from her, witty, and I would love to be just like her. We are best of friends. Also, my own mother-in-law was an angel and the most giving, patient woman I've ever known. I miss her warmth. My brother's Mill cut her own daughter and him out of all contact after Trump lost. I know for a fact they cited that as the reason. It was super petty to, like she said, I'm removing all socialist people from Facebook. I was kinda thinking, dude, that's your daughter though. I guess they have since sort of reconnected. My brother got married without telling our parents, and the first time we meet her was at Thanksgiving. She accused our mother of hurting her and is drugging my brother. Not a mother, but I'm a brother-in-law to my brother's crazy wife. I come from a family who was always very religious. My brother's wife was no different. My sil claimed to have actual conversations with God. She claimed he actually talked to her. After my girlfriend cheated on me, we broke up. My ex ended up pregnant within 2 months of the breakup and married to this guy in less than 8 months. She would tell me that none of that matters and God said that we would eventually get back together and get married. Funny part was after my ex ended up divorced within a year of her marriage, she did try and get back together with me. You're sorry that ain't happening. Then one night I heard from my parents that apparently my sil cheated on my brother, which was really no surprise because their second kid looks nothing like anyone in either of our families. Our family is all dark brown hair and her family is jet black hair. Their other 3 kids all have dark brown hair like us. But kid number 2 is blonde as can be and still is into his 20s. Well, anyway, while they were fighting over her cheating, I guess my brother asked if there was anyone else that she cheated with. That's when the crazy bee said that her and I slept together when our family went to Vegas for my 21st birthday. That was a fun phone call to get from my brother asking if it happened. I don't handle confrontation very well and was stoned off my butt when he called. I don't know if he believed me, and honestly I wouldn't blame him cause I wasn't very convincing in my stoned mind. But no, I didn't have sex with her. Haven't spoken to my brother since that day cause I thought he knew me better than that. It's been over 15 years. I was the terrible daughter-in-law. I thought she was insane. The other 2 dills both told me stories about how crazy Mill was. She has dementia. It all made sense after she was diagnosed and my husband and I started reading about it. I feel really bad that I was so mean to her. My aunt has plenty about my cousin's wife. She's one of those vegans that gives vegans as a whole a bad name and is staunchly anti-vax. She also refused to get prenatal care when pregnant with her son, wanting to raise him all naturally, only conceding to get an ultrasound. I'm the dill. In my Mills POV, I am the evil snake that is ruining her family and its values. I'm manipulating her son into a man that rejects his family and won't let them into our lives. My husband suddenly has these boundaries and secrets. He doesn't want to be involved in anything with his family and refuses to invite them over to see our children. I must be changing him and turning him against them. It's all my fault. Reality is, my Mill is a huge boundary stomper and doesn't have basic respect for us. We have very simple boundaries and she has fit about them because she can't do whatever she wants when she wants. For goodness sake. She literally bitched about how she has to make an appointment to come over to our house instead of just popping by whenever she felt like it. She expects my husband to be her personal free laborer and her idea of family is her being heavily involved in every aspect of my and my husband's lives. Her increasing ridiculousness just keeps pushing my husband further away from her with each issue she blows up on. So yeah, I'm a horrible dill in my Mill's eyes, but I'm honestly neutral about it. I don't need or want her approval. Not a dill yet. My stepson's girlfriend and mother of my 2 grandbabies. But I'm 19 years younger than my husband but 12 years older than my stepson. She thinks I want to sleep with my stepson. Never gave her any reason to think this. I do not want to. She keeps the babies from us. Rarely we get to see them unless of course she has a circumstance that we're her only option for a babysitter. We've tried very hard to have a good relationship but she just hates me. I once even stopped by their house to visit. She was cordial but my stepson got an earful when he got home from work. Just sad all around. She doesn't want us in their lives. I don't think I've ever been in a thread filled with such accountability. The amount of self-improvement I used to be that and this is why and how I changed comments are super refreshing. I'm the future dill. Pretty much considered dill at this point because I've been welcomed into the family with open arms. It's not so much me that's crappy but my family. I grew up in very rural Alabama and most of my family are Southern Baptist and very racist. My partner is from Michigan but has lived all over and the very first question my grandparents asked when we started dating is he Catholic because they loathe Catholicism. If he wasn't white they would have been very sad and couldn't allow that in the family. Their words exactly. I have mental health issues that were definitely inherited from my parents. The first time my partner met my dad was drunk. Mom is very emotionally manipulative and a hoarder. I always feel like a crappy deal because I haven't wanted his family to meet my family for obvious reasons. and they always want me to FaceTime them or come see them when he visits, and I rarely choose to do so. It's not that I don't like them. I love them so much and they have welcomed me into their family so graciously. I just feel crappy because my mental health has been at an all-time low and I'm too self-conscious to video chat them, let alone go see them. I used to be very communicative with them and a really good deal, but lately I've been really bad about keeping in touch. It's hard to explain to them what's going on as well because Mill is a very happy person and does not understand mental illness very much. I tried to talk to her about my dad's mental issues one time and she was very kind and listened, but was giving advice that wasn't quite the advice someone would be giving if they entirely understood what was going on. I only hope they don't think I avoid contact frequently because I hate them. I try to message them and let them know I appreciate things that they do for us. I'm trying to be better about it, but first and foremost I have to get my mental health in check in order to be the best Dill I can be. Not a mother-in-law but a wedding venue. I worked at. The mother of the bride walked in on the groom and the best man having fun together. Needless to say, the wedding reception never happened. I don't think they got their 5k deposit back either. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.